Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to our life, beginnings and always. And, let's see. Nope, don't want to go there, okay. You have to start with hang. Yep, we're doing this moment right here. So, grab my keyboard here. Slide back or something. Okay. There. There we go. Okay, let's see. The stars had aligned, and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. You were hoping that this would be a fun time together. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that body. Isn't he gorgeous? Isn't he sexy? They got some abs there too. Oh my god. I've been working out, boy. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He already had his swimsuit on, and his towel was bundled under his arm in a misshapen ball. He'd shown up earlier that morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as you caught up to his preparation. But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere. It disappeared. I had no idea what I was going to do, says Cove. This one here, gonna do this one right here. Yeah, it completely vanished somehow, just like the old sand pail, right? You totally didn't just lose your stuff again, I exclaimed.
Seriously?
Very funny, Chippy. That was different, and I was 8. Okay, honey, I'm sorry for giving you such a hard time. Anyways, don't know why it was in the bathroom when I never put it in there, says Cove. He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. You now could see that it had been folded at the same point, but then rolled up and carried without much care.
I'm so glad.
But I'm just glad I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks. It was nice to see Cove happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. You walked over to your dresser and mused about how you had picked out your own swimsuit. Luckily, since you were average height, you needed to worry about finding the right size when it came to the shape of your body. You were slender. And had little muscle definition. Your build was toned and firm, with muscles that were there, though slight in size. You kept mostly the same shape you had throughout your teenage years. You were used to your body, and your body was used to your habits.
Are you okay?
You alright? Asked Cove. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about some things. What things? Asked Cove. Just myself and my body, really. His eyebrow rose at your admission of self-reflection. And what do you think? What do you think? Asked Cove. What do you think of who you were, who you considered your identity further? You always felt sure about your gender. Being called him was right for you. And knowing that I'm gay is right for me. That's who I am. That's who my character is. And you had a natural flat chest. And that's the way you wanted it to be. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. You were confident in yours. Your body was awesome. It made you feel capable and assured. That was wonderful to you. You had pretty much felt good in your body. It was that way through your main growing years. And now that you were an adult, you didn't see that changing anytime soon. You focused on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, a question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer. But before you could, you had something to say to him. Okay. What do you think about me? I asked. About how I look, I mean. Cove smirked a little, his eyes taking you in easily. Fishing for compliments, Chippy? Asked Cove. You look great. Everyone knows that, including you. By the way, unless that's changed, asked Cove. I didn't want a compliment, I was just asking. Fine, says Cove. Cove shook his hand. His hand went up to try to unsubtly cover his smile. I was kind of worried you were so in your head, because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad, says Cove.
Hey!
Hey, Chippy. Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms. You're looking practically toned today, says Cove. It's, he answered, not with words, but a solid okay sign, with both hands and the same cheeky smile. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. You were a little taken aback. That came out of nowhere. You glanced at yourself. I didn't know you liked my arms so much, I exclaimed. Yeah, says Cole. You flirtatiously stretched. No, I'm gonna hug him. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with hug. I see you're putting those nice arms to good use, says Cove. Did I skip something? Oh, okay, yeah, I did. You hurried across your room, flung your arms around Cove. He chuckled back nervously after you gotten a squeeze in. I see you're putting those arms to good use, says Cove. You cackled at his joke and hugged him tighter. When you both had gotten your giggles out, you let him go. Finally, you felt that was enough of that topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you got sidetracked. You needed to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. You decided to wear a Speedo without a top. While you dug around your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. You took goggles. If I'm gonna go swimming, might as well. With that taken care of, you had your outfit together and looked to Cove. He was tapping his toes on the side of the wall as he waited. You vigorously wondered if he thought that was a comfortable place to sit. You hope so, given how long he'd perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You weren't going to put your beachwear on with him just chilling there. I need to change, I exclaimed. Cole smiled, content with being kicked out. Alright, says Cove. Cove lowered himself off the window and strolled past you to get to the door. He lightly brushed his fingers against her cheek when he passed by.
Bye.
I'll see you out front, says Cove. Okay, says excellent. When you were alone, you got undressed and put your swimsuit on. You also checked your beach bag for the final time and it to seem like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock your front door and walked outside. Cove stood in the road, looking down and scuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Nice to see you again, I exclaimed. Hi, Miranda and Terry are going to be here not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly unscheduled, says Cove.
Well,
Why don't we just head to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready, says Cove. That sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cove shot off a quick text telling the two of them where you'd be. Cove gave you a thumbs up after the message sent. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cove laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out into the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. You all lucked out. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear and the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day, but with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect.
so?
Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just walk down the shore, or would you want to do something else here? Asked Cove. Water sounds good. The water sounds good. That's what I'm here for, anyway. Cove nodded, accepting of the plan. He kicked some sand off his towel absent-mindedly. Yeah, sounds good, says Cove. You took a deep breath and tasted the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little more before comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight before you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, laughing with her tail hunched around her shoulders and flowing like a cape. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and more precautious as she got closer. Cove waved them on with a bright grin. Let's see. You showed it a greeting. Miranda, Terry, it's good to see you guys. The two officially arrived at Cove's and your setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and were raring to go. Hi Terry, Miranda. Welcome to our beach, says Cove.
Hey!
Hi, says Miranda. Hello, hello, says Terry. She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile.
Oh yeah!
Man, I am so pumped, says Terry. Yeah, I'm really glad this worked out, says Miranda. What have you guys been up to over here in your town? Cove? Chippy? Have we missed things? Asked Terry. Cove blinked and then shrugged when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. You gave a vague answer. Just stuff, nothing too interesting.
Ooh.
Says Terry. She looked skeptical but dropped it. Terry then started talking about her morning and how she almost slept since she had stayed up too late last night. She bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about me being tired today. You know, I ran on this back during school, says Terry. Miranda filled in the group about her morning. Apparently everything had gone smoothly. She met up with Terry on the way here, and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls. Hey, why don't we take this out to the water, says Cove. That's Cove.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely, says Miranda. You felt pleased that Cove remembered you that what you wanted to do. Sometimes he could be thoughtful like that. Terry threw her stuff down on the sand and started running for the waves. Miranda was more careful, sitting down for her things and waited for you and Cove. Cove tilted his shoulder to gesture over to the ocean.
Alright.
I've been looking forward to this, says Cove. The three of you made your way down the shoreline together. Miranda cartwheeled and Terry clapped. Soon all four of you were in the water. Cove swam out the furthest, while Terry instigated a splash fight. There was rarely a quiet moment where someone wasn't laughing. Hours passed, and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exclusive. For you, it was another break time. You sat on your towel and sipped at some water. Your friends were hard at work burying Terry's full body under a pile. Miranda used her arms to force up around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. I think the music's a little loud, so I'm going to see if I can turn it down some. That's better. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. You checked to see Cove had joined you there. He knelt down to dig around the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup. You pulled out the sunscreen. Okay. Everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on his towel. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream. Hey, says Cove. Hey, I exclaimed. He ran his hands across his chest to work the sunscreen in, and you might have checked him out a little from the corner of your eye, while still sipping some water. He noticed you noticing him, and Cove tilted his head your way as a smile formed. Would you want to help me reach my back? Asked Cove. Yeah, sure. Want me to get your butt while I'm at it? Thanks, says Cove. You scooted up behind your boyfriend and reached a hand around his front so he could squeeze a small pile of sunscreen into your hand. You rubbed your palms together, spreading the cream out more evenly, then began applying it softly to his shoulder blades. From there you moved to the tops of his shoulders, the nape of his neck, and down his spine. Cove was mumbling the entire time, but you could make out what he said. He might not have even realized he was doing it himself. The tone of his voice and the look on his face got the message across just fine. However, he was happy you were too. After he and you finished up, Cove let out a comfortable sigh and looked off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time exaggeratedly disappointed way. You wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically if you didn't say anything. What's wrong? You honestly wondered. You inspected his face to see if there was anything actually distressed about him, but he still just looked like he was exaggerating. You asked anyway, since it was obvious that was what he wanted. Cove shook his head, comically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all, says Cove. No, you were really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was most ridiculously sad sigh you had ever heard. Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real, says Cove. What? I asked. That had not been what you were expecting, he continued. I liked mermaids as a kid, well, merfolk as a whole. I really hoped that they were out there, says Cove.
I mean...
The ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere, says Cove. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over the waterline and rolling waves. They crashed against the shore and then drew back. This was a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast, and never too crowded, says Cove. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least we would have heard of someone else seeing one, but nothing, says Cove. He acted as though that result was a true bafflement. He let his head hang. I gotta let the dream go, says Cove. Let's see. I'm gonna go with the second one. That's hardly proof. It's not like this is the only beach in the world. They could still exist. And as you said, the ocean is a big place. Cove chuckled a little to himself, eyes tilted off into the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best, says Cove. Let's say a mer person had happened to wash up on shore one day. He looked at you with Fox's doleful expression. I could have lost my boyfriend to their magical underwater world, says Cove. Let's see. I'm gonna go with the last one. I'd go with the mer person, but only if you could come with us too. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer. You're a nice person, Chippy, but what if they don't want me? Would you seriously stay on land? Cove asked. You gave him a look. You meant what you said. I'd only work. It'd only work if the offer was for both of you. Are you sure that's the right call? Asked Cove. If a beautiful, kind mer person falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, "No thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with the normal guy," says Cove. Okay. I'm going to go with the third one. Since this is all hypothetical, why not have you be the mer person? I asked. Cove turned his face to beam at you. He brightened immediately. Now we're talking, says Cove. I'd be a good merman, right? Asked Cove. You'd be very beautiful. Just like you are now. You'd make the best merman, says I exclaimed. Cove's gaze was drawn back to the water with shining eyes. He clearly imagining some world where he was a merman who happened upon you here at the beach. You tried to picture what he could be thinking. It would be quite a lovely story. And then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She survived the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up on this now? Asked Miranda.
No way.
The burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore, says Terry. Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this, says Miranda. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arms was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed, says Cove. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation. And the three of you did your best to finish the job. Y'all worked out a system of using not enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With three people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively and Miranda offered high fives. The pal was officially done. Oh yeah, says Terry, resembling the Kool-Aid Man. She kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The four of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had run out of water, drinkable water anyway. It was decided that you'd head to your or Cove's house. Things were gathered, and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? Asked Terry. I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever, says Miranda. Same. I guess we can keep hanging out, asked Cove. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove, says Terry. By this point you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? Asked Terry. She looked from face to face in inspection. Yeah, inspection? Yeah, so I guess that's what it is. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite mealtime. We could get dessert, says Miranda. Miranda put a finger to her lip in thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun, says Miranda. Says Terry. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up.
Sure.
Sounds great to me, says Terry. I can definitely go for that, says Cove. You know I'm up for more, I exclaimed. But there's nothing sweet at my house, I exclaimed. Your friends glanced at Cove and his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes, asked Cove. Ew, no, says Terry. She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Itch. Cove smirked.
Not bad.
It's not that bad, says Cove.
Nope.
Nope, says Terry.
Well.
Well, there has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look it up, says Miranda. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think, says Terry. Terry continued to rummaged in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration.
I'm on it.
I'll search for something good, says Terry. Terry got back to her feet, hefting the bag over her arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But, says Terry, she assessed Cove and you from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service, says Terry. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little. I'll grab something, says Cove. You nodded as well. You weren't exactly restaurant ready like this. Cove moved over to his house. You looked towards yours. You ran into your house. No one was home, so you just rushed to your room and dropped off your beach stuff on your bed. Let's see. You completely changed into casual clothes. You stripped and found a suitable outfit to hang out in. You slipped it on and felt satisfied with your decision. With that, you sped back outside. Cole was already there and gathered around Terry's phone with the girls. He opted to just add a shirt and shoes, apparently putting in the minimum effort for service. Hello again, says Cove.
Hey!
You don't really want ice cream, do you? Asked Terry. You didn't have a chance to answer. She kept barreling through with her words. 'Cause I'm not into that right now, says Terry.
That's cool.
Don't mind her. You look nice, by the way, says Miranda. Terry scrolled further, then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are, says Terry. She shoved her phone into your face. It seemed like a cute shop. It didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into the preparation. With branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings.
Huh.
Weird. I've never heard of it, says Cove. I haven't either, I exclaimed. Mysterious, but crepes are so good, says Miranda. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the front photos. I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive, says Cove. Terry cheered at the success of a plan made, and you walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. wrote "Wash Me" in the dirt on his car. Yep, I'm gonna go with that one. You noticed a thin coat of sand and dust on Cove's car. It had probably been a while since you'd washed it. With a smirk, you carefully wrote "Wash Me" with your finger.
Very nifty.
Good work. I wonder if he's going to notice, says Terry. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face and he brushed it back. Shotgun, says Terry. She climbed into the passenger seat without hesitation. You didn't argue and climbed into the back veranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. I got an itch. There. Sorry about that. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road once and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn. But with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in a parking lot rather than a full building. That explained why there hadn't even been pictures of creperies interior, and why it was new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to and one for cars to drive up to. Cove parked with a laugh.
Come on.
I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go, says Cove.
What?
Do you trust us? Do you not trust us to eat in your car? Asked Terry. She gestured to the drive-through option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't be more fun to actually check it out, says Cove. Everyone acknowledged his point and piled out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently they had been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be cake icing. That's sweet, says Terry.
So great.
Literally, it was good, but I regretted it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried, says Miranda. You can do it this time, Randy, says Terry. And here we are. There were some laughs, and when you got up to the menu, you realized that were more than crepes than just crepes. Lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, and milkshakes.
Woo!
Jackpot, says Terry. She grinned and held up her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vigorously turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made, then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched in a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. Okay, I'm gonna go with the last one. You ordered a crepe and a drink. Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you taking the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted plain crepe, because I can always add the stuff to it. For the filling and toppings, you picked whipped cream, cream cheese, powdered sugar, strawberries, and bananas. And that was all. After you picked the size, you were asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered let's see. I'm gonna get banana smoothie. You could also add a mix or a topping for the drink. You chose to add whipped cream. And that's all. You paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Terry went crazy with toppings. Although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. That's a lot. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. The four of you stood off to the side as you waited for your treats. I heard what you ordered, Chippy. Glad I'm not the only one to go for a drink and a crepe. I couldn't just pick one, and why not? Exactly, it's gonna be good, says Cove. Chippy, man, your crepe is gonna rock, says Terry. High five for the topping appreciation, Terry says. She held her hand out expectantly. You gave her a high five. You hit her hand with a satisfying smack. Order for Chippy, says the employee. Oh, I've got to get that, I exclaimed. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a attentive sip. Terry nodded acceptantly with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. I gotta do some. I'll be right back. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Terry nodded appreciatively with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an instant intent to make it look nice. But with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. They both only gotten one thing, probably because they end up sharing. Cove went over to you, and there was a definite interest in his eyes at your order. Well, I just want to say you can try mine. It's probably good and summery, says Cove. You tasted his and shared yours. You handed his crate first, and you tore off a piece and put it in your mouth. It was tart from the lemon, but syrupy berry mix brought in the sweetness. The balance between the thin, almost spongy crepe and the juicy toppings made for a unique set of textures. You passed him yours. He tilted his smoothie over. You took a sip and had to suck up a large strawberry chunk before the actual smoothie came up the straw. It was mostly smooth, with delightful tiny crystals of ice and the occasional bite of fresh strawberry. It matched well with the crepe, with even more berryness. Cove enjoyed his sampling too. He had a giant smile on his face and looked almost disappointed when you swapped back to your treats. With that, Cove started to eat his treats in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and then, without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. His habit of mixing foods together wasn't anything new. He hummed in satisfaction. So you gestured he must have liked the combined flavor. Cove? Asked Terry. Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove.
So?
Care to make a trade? Asked Terry. Sure, says Cove. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe bits and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. You kept going down the way, eating and drinking and chatting. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently you were about to just walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off Miranda's straw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible. Preposterous, says Terry. How are we already at the inn? Asked Terry. I always forget how tiny this town really is, Miss Miranda. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe.
I guess.
It kinda is, huh? It didn't feel that small when we were growing up, says Cove. Yeah, it definitely felt bigger then. There was a time when Sunset Bird had felt huge. It seemed as endless as the ocean. There was always some street you hadn't wandered down. Something new for the tourist. But now you have realized it was just a pond in this big world. Seeing the definite end only reinforced this. Here was the boundary that proved your hometown could be walked out of with ease. I guess this means we should probably head back. One doesn't walk into nowhere land, says Terry. We're not the only one, Terry. There's 4 of us, says Miranda. Terry scrunched her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. It stinks having to go all the way back, says Terry. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out that direction, says Miranda. And if we did keep going forward, it'd be even longer trip home, says Cove. You started off into the stretch of road as Cove agreed that he didn't want to go out any further. Can we take a break here first before we turn around? We've been walking for a while and someone finish my drink, says Miranda. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked air from the straw. It was so good, says Terry. Boy. Miranda looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang around the sign before heading back to the car. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up the trash and stuffed into bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping account of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. 14, says Miranda. The newest passing car drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down and you watched as it ultimately rolled into a complete stop. The black car parked right by the new now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. But when the tilted window rolled down and the driver peered out, as soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else you knew presented themselves so distinctively. Hi neighbors, it's Baxter. It's Baxter. Cove also jolted with recognition. He passed on a cordial smile and waved politely. Afterwards, he put his mouth back over the straw of his long, empty drink as trying to act cool. Okay. You just wondered what he was doing here. It was pretty random to just so happen to come across someone like Baxter. He seemed to be driving into town as well, so you wondered what his day had looked like. He looked sharp and sophisticated. He'd just done something professional. Well, if it was now professional to look a little golf, that is. And you thought about the old picture this made. A fancy black car pulled over to talk to a group of teens, mostly still in beachwear. Okay, we're 18, so we're adults now. We're not really teens. We're a late teen, but technically we're adult. Okay, legally we're adults. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head in an unspoken question. Cove made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry.
All right.
Ah, that's the new person in the condo, the B-man, right? asked Terry. Yeah, Baxter, says Cove.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if I'd ever actually see him, says Miranda. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quite the opposite. Incredible, this is perfect, says Terry. Terry hopped up the grass and ran to Baxter's car, all full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted imaginary dirt off of her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded and, with clenched fists, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter. Though his window, she blasted through introductions, with Miranda putting a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He still clearly had no intention of going over. You went over to Baxter. Cove waited in the grass without another word. You jolted the other two. You joined the other two and stood next to Baxter's car. He smiled generally at you.
Nice to see you.
Chippy, it's very nice to see you once more, says Baxter. He gestured to Miranda and Terry. I just rented this car for my stay here, and was coming back from a bit of sightseeing when I spotted your crowd. Then these two were kindly introducing themselves, says Baxter. Yep. It's only polite. Speaking of polite, since you know us, you should give us a ride, says Terry. Terry, says Miranda. Her voice was whispered, but her tone was clear. This was not Miranda approved. What? Then we won't have to walk back to the parking lot. I'll take care of it, says Terry. Miranda bit her lip. Terry clearly not seeing the problem, pointed at Miranda and turned back to Baxter. You wouldn't make a cute girl trudge down this empty road, right? Look at her, says Terry. Baxter did. Miranda smiled uncomfortably, and he grinned playfully.
I can do that.
Of course not. Consider me at your service, says Baxter. Yes, says Terry. She spun around and tried to wave Cove over. You could tell from his face that he was already alarmed. Get over here. Baxter's giving us a ride, says Terry. You could make out his frown from the distance. However, he did start to drag himself off the grass. You were just happy to get a ride. Regardless of anything else, you didn't have to walk back. That's what counted. And you were grateful to Terry for arranging it. Miranda looked down and put on a polite smile. Packages. Thank you, says Miranda.
You're welcome,
says Baxter. And thank you for speaking your words. Terry did have a point. It wouldn't have been inconsiderate to abandon you here. And after all, your company is a favor to me, says Baxter. Miranda laughed a little, and Terry slung an arm over Miranda's shoulder with a big grin.